Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Perhaps you've already noticed, but I'm a bit of a nerd. I wear it proudly on my chest and spread across the bookshelves behind me. When I was a little kid, my favourite game was Top Trumps, a statistic-based card game where you essentially had to outstat your opponents. For me, it was all about cars, so it was brake horsepowers, top speed, 0 to 60, and so on. Now, I must have looked at 100 different watches on the channel so far, and I've been compiling my own game of horological top trumps up here. Occasionally, I'll make mention of it. Thickest watch I've reviewed on the channel, most water resistant watch I've reviewed on the channel, cheapest watch I've reviewed on the channel, and so on. Most of the pieces I look at fit somewhere down the middle, but it's great when a watch throws me a juicy statistic that is a little bit outside of the normal range. And this, the Odyssey by Boldr, my first encounter with the brand, has done exactly that. And this is something that I've been looking forward to discussing with you all for some time now. What exactly is this mystery stat then? Let's flip the camera and find out. So Boldr by name, Boldr by nature then. This one comes supplied in a very nice, very robust looking kind of flight case, one of these little dive cases, similar to what I got with the Protoss a couple of weeks ago. Now when you pop it open, you find inside the watch, a warranty card, instruction manual, there's a little sticker there as well. This one comes supplied on a kind of isofrane style rubber strap. They also supply it as part of their standard packaging with a kind of Panaristi buckled leather strap. I'll pop it on that one a little later on. All the usual good stuff coming up today then. We've got a Lume shot, movement accuracy report, wrist shot. I'll start with dimensions and specifications as usual. Then I'll chuck it over to you with that interesting statistic that this Boldr has thrown my direction. So clearly then we've got a big and bold, very contemporary interpretation of the dive watch with a very contemporary set of dimensions. 45mm across the case, though it looks a little bit smaller. If you measure the divot to divot on the bezel, it's only 42, so it doesn't quite give the impression of a watch at 45mm. Thickness of this very interesting, unusual angular stainless steel case is 16mm, and we've got a 43mm lug tip to lug tip today. 22mm, nice kind of standard size 22mm lugs, weighing in on the supplied rubber strap at 160 grams. So it certainly is a big boy, but it does carry itself rather well in spite of its heft. Very nicely finished 316L stainless steel case there. You can see some vertical brushing on the side. We've got a very delicate bit of bead blasting on the top of the lugs, and as you can see, very nicely finished on that unidirectional rotating bezel. I'll have a crack at the bezel in just a minute or two. Really like the kind of two-tone anthracite style bezel there. 9mm crown, it's a big chunky crown, what they call a triple lock crown system as well. Tiny little bit of polishing on the crown lugs just for some variety. And that's about as close in as I can get to the aforementioned advertised triple lock crown system. As you can see there, it's screwed down. There's an extra seal, what looks like an extra rubber seal there on the crown stem. Very nicely machined little crown as well. Again, that kind of very fine bead blasting to match the case. I think you can be fairly sure that no water's going to get in the case of this one. We've got a double domed sapphire crystal today with AR coating, just a little bit of distortion at the extremities and enough AR so that you get a little bit of a purple tinge, which is quite nice to see. And as you can see there, as I tip the watch over, individually numbered editions, this one being 101 out of 500. And the Caseback today is a work of art, literally. This one Boldr describes as a limited edition piece designed by a Melbourneian artist from Australia called Ashwin Royan, featuring a kind of giant wave there, little sailboat, some constellations in the sky. Very, very nice, kind of deep etched, with the usual obligatory statistics around the outside. Boldr Odyssey, 500 meters water resistance, 316L stainless steel, sapphire glass, etc, etc. Screw down Caseback obviously today, but very nice indeed, I must say. Let's have a crack at the bezel then. 120 click unidirectional, as one would expect, just with a big Lume pip at the 12 o'clock there, but absolutely rock solid, no backplay whatsoever. Really nice bezel action. Because the bezel is a little bit smaller than the case, it's not perhaps the easiest to grip, but that's not a bad thing, especially not if you actually intend to get this watch wet and use it for timing any kind of dive. Though, you know, there's only the indexes at the 5-second or 5-minute markers. Probably not going to be all that useful in the water without the more clearly defined Arabic numerals and minute markers grading to 15 or 20, as is the norm with dive pieces. Zoomed in on the dial then, and you can see a little bit of that purple glint from the AR. We've just got a flat printed dial today, printed indices, but plenty of Lume. I'll pop up a Lume shot shortly. Minute track around the outside. Nice big handset. Bevel in the middle of those. Plenty of Lume on the hands as well. And that little orange tip to the second hand, adding a bit of visual interest. Very nicely integrated date frame down there at the 6 o'clock with a beveled edge. Very subtle indeed, nicely done by Boldr. And the big double index there at 12 o'clock, so you can always tell which direction this watch is oriented. Perhaps you've already spotted helium escape valve there. You can see that just on the chapter ring advertised there underneath the 12, and that triple lock crown system as mentioned advertised on the chapter ring above the 6. Not normally a fan of kind of extraneous writing on watches, but it's actually quite nicely done. It's not all that obvious, so you get a glint of it occasionally, and there is that helium escape valve there at the 9 o'clock. And a first for the channel, we've got a Lume video today. Plenty of it. Now they say Superluminova, they don't specify. I'm guessing it's BGW9. It's certainly got that ice blue tinge. Goes nicely with the kind of white dial, the ice white aesthetic of this piece. Unusual choice though, they've gone for a different colour on the Lume pip, again much like the Protos that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. Not sure that that's to this watch's benefit, but plenty of Lume, plenty on those indices, plenty on the hands. And there is the watch sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist. Now it's a big one as mentioned, fine set of statistics on this, but wears a lot better than some other chunky pieces that I've reviewed on the channel. I was wearing this one to work today, admittedly in a t-shirt, not with a suit and shirt, but I had no problems with it at all. Strapped it up nice and tight, it was very comfortable. I didn't actually notice it all that much. Certainly didn't notice its weight. Didn't feel too top heavy at all. I think a bit of curvature in the lugs there as well, and the fact that they haven't gone for a bracelet today means you get a kind of instant drop from the isoframe rubber strap. So looks pretty good on the wrist. Nice sign buckle there. Again, that kind of fine bead blasting with the Boldr logo on the fasteners of the strap, which is always a nice touch. So come on in, Jody, what is this mystery statistic you've been dying to share with us? Well, I haven't talked about the price yet, have I? These are currently on pre-order from the Boldr website. I will leave a link in the description below as always. This one, the WhiteStorm model, retailing at $469 US. There are a bunch of different colorways you can choose from, starting this white ice model at $439. We've got PVD versions, this kind of titanium look ones as well. There are bronze ones, including bronze with a meteorite, slice of that meteorite on the dial as featured on my Zelos recently. Those go up to $739 US. All of these watches featuring the same movement. That movement being the Seiko NH35. So the statistic is that this watch is the most expensive watch that I've reviewed on the channel so far that features the Seiko NH35 movement in it. There are a bunch of reasons why so many micro brands choose the NH35, not least of which is their fairly remarkable accuracy. I don't think I've had a duffer yet, and certainly this one is no exception. Mixture of winder timing on the wrist, just over a week there, coming in at -4, so a pretty decent result. They hack, they hand wind, 42-hour power reserve, and they are notoriously rugged and reliable. There's a little bit of shockproofing in there as well. Chances are with a dive watch, you're probably going to be replacing the seals on this watch before you have to take the back off it to service the movement, and that is a good thing. But they're also pretty cheap. The cost of an NH35 is around $40 US. So here we have a watch costing over 10 times the price of the movement. I'm going to open this one to the floor. What do you think of that? How much would you pay for a watch with an NH35 in it? Does it matter? There is a strong argument that this is about all the movement that you'll ever need in a watch is one of these NH35s. Nobody needs high beat 4K movements. Nobody needs Swiss made. Nobody really needs cost parameter certification either. But is there a retail price where you just want something a little fancier than an NH35 in your watch? And if so, what is that price? And there we go, I'll finish today by popping it on the alternative strap, the leather with a big Panerai style buckle. Looks very nice on this one as well, actually, I have to say. A nice alternative to have the two straps straight out of the box. So what do I think of this one then? Well, the styling is bold and contemporary. It's not going to be to everyone's cup of tea, but I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty good. A little large for my personal taste, but very nicely done indeed. Very solid feel from the case. Very nice machining from the crown, from the bezel, etc. So certainly feels chunky and robust. Would I pay $469 for a Seiko NH35? I'm going to take the fifth on this one. I'm going to pass it over to you guys. So there you have it, the Odyssey by the Boldr Supply Company then. Certainly a chunky monkey this one, but it carries its weight and not in considerable bulk, much better than a lot of other pieces. Seiko NH35 movement for $429. I'm going to leave that one up to you. I look forward to some fairly tasty comments in the section below today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.